8 o'clock, we will open the Wednesday, October 24th meeting of the Airport Authority. Everybody had a chance to look at the past minutes. We can approve those as published without any comment. Hearing none, it will be approved. Vouchers, number 2 on our agenda is vouchers totaling $77,633. Any questions on those?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lynn?
Aye.
Blazik?
Aye.
Lind?
Aye.
Hogan?
Aye. Okay, the approval of vouchers for Foreign Trade Zone Corporation and Sixel.
I'll move approval.
Okay, second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, call for the roll.
Lynn?
Aye.
Blazik?
Aye.
Lind?
Aye.
Hogan?
Aye. Okay, authorization for...
Can I make a comment? I was so glad that all the work with the foreign trade zone, because that, as you know, when we were doing the stakeholder interviews, that was one of the things that a lot of people did not know of your intricate involvement in helping businesses set up a foreign trade zone. So I think that's great. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, concur. All right, Sean, you want to talk about truck?
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we found out that a 1988 model truck that we have that's been used to do access roads and so forth, the DOT won't certify it anymore. I think that's the proper terminology, Darren, right? It can't get a DOT sticker on Hector 40.
Oh, yeah.
So the frame is cracked on it, and it's past its useful life. So it's a sand truck, plow truck, and so forth. So this here, is, as we talked about a couple meetings ago, is the replacement truck for it. So it's the same as what the North Dakota DOT purchases. The prices that you have here are off of the state contract, the state accessories. It'll have a front end plow, it'll have a side wing plow, large sand truck, some chemical, and it'll be able to cover more surfaces over a longer period versus having to come back to the shop constantly to get sand or other materials, because that was a smaller unit. So this unit here will qualify for PFC funds as we put into a PFC application. So the amount is $225,834 plus some radios and so forth. So it's probably going to end up being around $228. I think that might be less than that. I think we intend to take the radios out of the current truck and put into this truck when we get it. Delivery time, Darren's probably sometime late winter, early spring.
Yeah,
it's going to be a while.
Sure
But we'll work with Nelson International and Burt's Truck Equipment to try and expedite it, but it's going to be sometime next year before it arrives. So,
Sean, what do we do in the meantime if we can't use the truck for
can use it. It just we use it to pull the chemical spreader and so forth, but we'll come up with some other alternatives. We got some front end loaders with plows on them and different things, but we'll make it work. If we have to lease a truck in the interim, we may have to do that as well.
So this is will go out on a state bid. So it'll be the...
It's already bid, yep.
Bid.
So we just select it and order it. We can order it today if we want, and put it into motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of these capital expenditures plus the authority to grant Sean the flexibility in entering into any lease agreement that he needs to fulfill the requirements of this missing truck
Okay,
without having to come back to us with
The second.
second. Okay, any further discussion? How big is this truck? Is it,
It's pretty good. It's just what you see from the state DOT. I mean, it's a pretty good
5
sized
ton.
truck.
Five
5 ton, I don't,
I think the wheels are a little bigger.
yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
bit bigger.
It's like you understand on the highway.
5 ton, probably.
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that the last one lasted 30 years.
A long time.
Is there anything that the chemicals that we're using does wears them out quicker, rusts them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Roll call?
We do a voice vote.
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, communication from Mr. Berg, Rick Berg.
Do you have it? It arrived when I was gone, so.
It was emailed out.
Okay, so basically, this is an obligation in Rick's lease with us that any subtenant that he has to have approval. It puts it on the public record. Buffalo Wild Wings is going to put their corporate office there on the second floor. Blazing Wings Properties LLC, they're going to lease a portion of the second floor at 1705 19th Avenue North. Blazing Wings Properties, a small executive office for a local franchisor who has several Buffalo Wild Wings properties. They're planning to be an aircraft partner as well. So it'll be their corporate office plus for access to their aircraft. So with your concurrence, we put it in the file.
So we need a motion and a
Sure.
So
second.
moved.
Motion,
I'll make a motion to approve that.
second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Very good. Okay, ICAS. We have 2 members that are going to attend the ICAS convention. That will be, actually 3, but I'm going to be paid for by the air show, so.
Yeah,
that's
so
not-
Steve and I have attended in the past, so the airport authority generally covers our expenses to go to the International Council of Air Show. We do have the Thunderbirds coming in July of 2019, and there's a lot of different sessions to go to. They always change things on safety and how to get more people to the show. There's all kinds of good sessions that are there. So, but general, how going to be paid for by the Air Show Committee, and Steve and I by this board, if you so choose to do so.
So motion,
So
Make a,
moved.
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve that.
okay, second. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. And that passes. Let's see.
Parking proposal, or the parking concession proposals.
Oh yeah, we skipped over 6.
Where? Oh, there it is. I was going, where is our parking?
All right.
Okay. All right, let's review the bids we have for the parking proposal contract. You want to,
Well,
Do those?
we received those at the last meeting, and each board member was given an evaluation sheet to go through and come back to this meeting. The chair, Virginia, has provided her selection and scoring sheet and so forth. So I guess now you can have a discussion on who you would like to engage to operate our parking lot starting January 1st of 2019. So we had SP Plus, we had Republic, and then Interflight, which is part of Interstate. So I guess I'll open it to you to discuss where you want to go and who you want to select today, if you're able to.
any comments from board members? Ratings? That Virginia's gone, her ratings were SP number 1, Republic 2, and Interstate 3 in her score sheet. Any?
That was mine too.
That was mine as well.
Mine as well.
I think, I think with the SP Plus, there were several things that really stood out to me. One is that I like the shuttle service that they will be providing. I think that that's a really exceptional benefit to our flyers, as well as love the secret shopper, the new survey, the parking website, and emails. I thought that they had a really thorough and very service-oriented trainings that were available. And I think that those are a couple of things that I saw that were above and beyond really what the others had provided. I think their audit was extremely thorough, and the one, let's see, there was one organization that did not provide the audit because of a new acquisition, so it was kind of hard to see the to compare financially the soundness of all 3 organizations. So that's just my take.
Okay.
I think all proposals were well-written, all qualified, all met our needs. But I think the one SP Plus with the increased guarantee amount, the additional shuttle service, which we did not ask for, but which would be very beneficial for us. We've done the analysis and we understand the expense of providing that shuttle service. That's a very significant benefit to our airport operations.
Okay. Commissioner?
So what, I look at the money, and so that's, to me, that's what I look at. And so the SP Plus is 150,000 for revenue, and Republic is 265.5. So to me, that's a pretty substantial difference. That's just my comment. That's the revenue per year.
Well, I looked at the guaranteed revenue and thought that would allow us budgeting that would be.
See that in it? The 2.7 versus the 2.4?
SP Plus is the
Yeah.
only one that
Guarantees
guarantees
it.
2.7. The others are based on.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's what I go by. I go by money. Money speaks, and to me, it's almost double. That's a good thing. So that's just my opinion, and you guys are the ones that vote on it. But I just wanted
Well,
to give my
I'm
opinion.
confused on the money because I looked at 2.7 guaranteed and nobody else was that high.
Anyway, that's the numbers that I got. I might be, I stand to be corrected, but
But I think there's more to look at too, as Tammy had mentioned, the other things that they're providing that the others haven't. So they're going to invest $100,000 of their money to set up a frequent Parker loyalty program, corporate program. They're going to provide that shuttle service, which I calculate to be a $45,000 to $50,000 per year investment on their part. They're going to continue the annual surveys, which is about $15,000 per study that they're doing. They're going to add some other amenities, laundry services, or if you want car care services, which they've done at a lot of other airports. It looks like there's more coming. They had examples of their brochures that they're going to be going out and marketing with. And we didn't really get a good view of that, I don't believe, from Republic or from Interflight. But we'll see. Interflight was going to target businesses in Grand Forks, and I'm not sure if their proposal was quite clear, but a lot of the businesses that they were going to target were Bismarck and Grand Forks and other locations, so I don't understand that. So anyway, yeah.
so like you said, that may not be the guarantee, but that's the numbers with the. Anyway, so I apologize. I don't want to interrupt your.
No,
but I
it's
just
fine.
want to give
That's
you.
good.
Yeah, no, we want to talk this through.
We want your
Because we have
feedback.
Republic estimated at $2,777,000. And I'm not
The
sure how
difference
that's
from the
gonna
top
look
to the bottom, if you go through the tiers,
Okay,
is
so
only
this
like
is this is if
82,000.
so this is 2016. Obviously, it's lower, but if it's at 3.5, then this is if you're comparing the same numbers.
So, okay. You used an estimate of revenue of 3.5
Right.
and then the percentage breakdowns. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, any further discussion or comments? Everybody scored the same motion. Entertain a motion.
I move SP Plus be awarded the contract.
Okay. Second?
I second the proposal.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Want to do a roll call on this?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Lynn?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Calvin?
Aye. Okay.
And I want to ask permission to keep these for a while in case there are questions. Is that okay? Okay.
I want to carry the box.
I'll give you the box wherever I go.
I took mine on vacation. and
I bet.
Did them when I was on vacation, so I'd rather
And,
not have.
and you want our scoring sheets, correct?
Let's see,
Eight.
we're on to compensation review. Tammy and I have been doing some work, actually, more like Tammy's been doing some work. So I'd like to discuss compensation review for the executive director and staff. Tammy, do you want to kick it off?
About a year and a half ago, Don Keelander and I started an extensive research evaluating airports that have similar emplanements and reviewed the studies that were done for executive director compensation. And I think what's interesting is and I brought one of the studies. Well, we went through several things. We did stakeholder interviews, which we have, here's the stakeholder interview report that we did. We did that. We also evaluated, We also evaluated the study, as I told you, and I can pull it out. Let's see. We evaluated the state statute, which we are an independent entity and looked at the state statute very thoroughly. One of the things that happened that I thought was interesting is when subsequent to the deregulation, after the deregulation, airports have gone to more of a business model for compensation of employees because it's a competitive environment. And when we actually looked at all this study, the executive leader compensation program review, we went through multiple airports. And what was interesting is the study only gave compensation packages for entities on enplanements. They did not include cargo, which if you take a look at what we've done in the past couple of years with UPS and FedEx with the cargo and the increase in revenue, that wasn't even taken into consideration. So, and that was this, again, it was the executive study, and I'm happy to, I brought an extra copy. We also did one of the first, Sean had been reviewed previously by more of a review that was intended for more of a city employee, which when we evaluated it, it was a great review, but it really didn't review Sean on what his responsibilities were. And so we developed an executive director evaluation, which I just gave you, and we evaluated Sean, and that was part of the process that we looked at. We additionally looked at key stakeholders evaluation, and the big thing was really, it was kind of an aha moment. As a business person, spent 25 years in business, banking, and because of the model that we have is as a business model of the United States, really this has changed what we pay and compensate executive directors for. Some of the airports, when I looked at their job responsibilities, the jobs that Sean is doing actually, and I don't want to say too much, but he is doing jobs that in other airports 3 different people would be doing. And I think that also was an aha moment that, we have a valuable executive director, and we want to make sure that he's compensated fairly, and he's compensated according to industry standards. And when we evaluated it, he was not even in the ballpark of the industry standards for the lowest. And so then we also looked at some other compensation packages. We looked at a lot of different things, but here is basically a summary of what, there you go. What Mr. Haugen and I have come up with.
And when was all this, you did this in 2007, July of 2017?
We updated this. The figure for his current salary is current, okay? The past, when you look at the chart, the research, that is 2017.
Okay.
And in 2017, the average salary for 12 airports, 2 or greater than Fargo enplanements, salary only was $208,207. That was in 2017. That's just for salary, not compensation. And currently, I think in 2017 it was 150,000. I didn't bring that, but in 2018 it's 153,524.
The data, Tammy, was gathered by a third-party,
Yep.
independent
Yep.
placement company,
Correct.
if you
It's
will.
ADK, and that was something that, it was an independent entity, and that was something that when I spoke with the mayor previously, he had wanted an independent entity to come in and look at it. And I believe we have 2 years of this, but I just brought the most current one. We have the 2016 and then a 2017. You know, it's interesting too, it's all across the board how how airports compensate the executive director. And that's why I have a spreadsheet of compensation package, and it's so different. And I've mentioned a couple things covered by other airports. Some give bonuses, moving expenses, transition expenses, country club memberships, vehicles, also health insurance, car allowance, cell phone allowance, retirement match. It was totally across the board. Totally across the board. So what we tried to do was take a look and really see what we could compare. And it should be noted that that our executive director does not get health insurance through the Municipal Airport Authority. He is covered by his spouse. So that wasn't even in there either. But I think if you take a look, what's really telling is that box there. So the average for the 10 airports, which are less than Fargo and Plainmans, their average is $165,969.
Well, I think if you look at this airport too, it's complex. It is not just a terminal manager, and that's what in Plainman's measure,
Right.
a terminal. You have 2 military organizations here. You have a large civilian sector, and now we have cargo exploding, and it's nowhere is that measured. So, and there's, I think, as we all know, there's a great deal of work with cargo operations and future construction, planning, and just time spent on that whole thing. And the benefits to the city are enormous with the cargo operation.
Speaking of cargo, and I don't see my email, Sean has provided us with the number of employees that, additional employees that have come to the city because of FedEx and now potentially UPS. And if I remember, I thought I printed it off, but who knows? If I remember, it was going to be over 200 employees. Is that correct?
215 to 220.
215 to 220. And could you explain how we get the funds, the income from cargo?
Well, landing fees is the most significant. Our best estimates for, well, in 2017, our landing fees with FedEx, Corporate Air, and the UPS feeders were a little over $134,000. 2018, that will grow to about $142,400 is what our estimate is. And then once UPS is in full operation with feeders and mainline, it'll be just under $200,000 in additional revenue for that. There's also a fuel flowage fee that Fargo Jet Center will pay to us for fuel that flows into them. I don't have what the exact numbers are for that yet. Jeremy Sobel is working on what their estimates are, but you know, they're going to buy, just with UPS alone, probably $1.5 million or $2 million in fuel next year. So how many gallons that equates to, I guess, depends on what their average price is that they purchase. The ground rents that they'll be paying to us, not only FedEx, but with UPS. I've got a site plan, a preliminary site plan from them. They'll probably lease somewhere in the vicinity of 200 to 220,000 square feet of space from us at 25 cents a square foot. So that's additional revenue that would be there.
And you had worked on FedEx and UPS bringing them aboard for how long? I think it was 20 years.
No more than that.
Yeah.
Since '91. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And my predecessor had worked on them, obviously,
okay.
from '91 to '96, but I was involved in those
Okay.
conversations, multiple meetings in Louisville or Memphis, or different studies and so forth that finally wore them down. Yeah.
Sean, can you remind me when Frontier started up again?
May of this year.
May of this year.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, you have to pay on performance, and these numbers do not reflect the fact that we've got UPS, we've got Frontier starting up again, and potentially another airline starting up in January. So even these numbers are low on my estimation. So you're doing a fantastic job, and I think that it's about time that you get paid for it. So.
Mr. Chairman, question. So we are currently using the City of Fargo's Administration for Human Resources, and they have pay grades. Do we have to, as of today, figure out compensation that fits that pay grade? And then if we were to change providers, have the flexibility of changing that? Or how does that work with our current?
Well, I know, I know that in the past, we've run into a problem with that because we wanted to exceed pay grades listed there. And so maybe what we ought to do is vote on the pay amount and then consult with Bruce Grubb or whoever to see how we can fit that in. But you know, I like to go back to Don's old saying. Well, I know what Dean Brashani makes at NDSU, and I know what the coach makes, and it's based on supply and demand. There's more college presidents than there are good coaches. So, based on, like you just said, performance and what we've got going on here and the complexity,
Well, I tell people, Mike, that we're the biggest little airport in the country.
Yeah.
That's really the truth. I mean, we look and act like a very large airport, but with all the services that we provide with FBOs and everything. So I mean, it's fun serving on this committee because it is such a high performing airport, and that's to Sean and the staff.
Exactly. You look at the traffic at the Fargo Jet Center. You know, I mean, we get a lot of international stops here. It's a very busy airport.
You know, and
Complex.
back to Eric, you know, if you feel more comfortable with other recommendations, we have this money in the budget because we checked that. Because right now at year 3, with the increase, he will be right at 2017, and that'll be in 2021. So we were being conservative on that, and we went with a additional year, and this was when Don and I were working on it. We talked about this, and we wanted to make sure we stair-stepped it up so we wouldn't see any huge, and there won't be any budget ramifications because the money is there for this position, so.
So are you making a motion then on your recommendation?
Well, I'm opening it up. If you've got some other,
I don't have anything else. I think this is. I think it's very well put together. And I think your numbers are even low due to the fact that we've.
I would concur, Eric. Yeah.
Because in the last 12 months we've got 3 huge principal coming in. You're only getting bigger, or you're only getting smaller, and obviously we're on our way up. And your numbers were based on stuff that was on old data. Not anything to do with your. I mean, but it's just so much is changing within the structure here. So I have no problem with the numbers that you put together here. So the question is, where do we go from here?
I would entertain a motion for a figure that we put down, voted on, and then we'll consult with the city on how it fits in with the personnel plan they have.
So do you guys feel comfortable with the recommendation year 1, year 2, year 3, and then proposing that to the city? I'll make a motion to use the pay construct year 1, year 2, year 3 for their presentation to the city.
second.
Any further?
So this is just clarification. This is not a calendar year. This is October 1 of 17.
Fiscal year.
So that's,
Okay,
when
that's
it
a-
says retroactive, are we
retroactive.
January 1 of 18 or are we September, or I'm sorry,
October 1st.
October 1st of 17?
That's up for discussion.
Sean, what
I'm
is
with
your
you.
budget
Okay,
run
so,
on? Calendar year?
It does. So if it's on calendar year, why don't we make it January?
I'm fine with that, just to
Yeah,
clarify.
to clarify it.
Jan-
right.
January.
January 1 of 18.
18. Yep.
okay.
Yep.
All right, anything else? Any further discussion?
You know, I think having served in a different capacity in Arizona as a city council person and then worked for the governor, I think making this public and so there's no, so anybody, and the money doesn't come from taxpayers. I mean, I think that's really an important issue. To make it known and to do it in an open setting is probably a difficult thing, but I think it's a wise thing because it's really transparent. That's my final comment.
Okay. Let's do a roll call.
I have one quick question.
yeah.
You had a comment, the money doesn't come from taxpayers? Where does it come from?
It comes from the budget that people are paying from it, you know, the
But
employments.
do you know who owns this place? The taxpayers.
Well,
It
she's saying
comes
it comes
from-
from the user fees.
User
from
fees.
FedEx
But
and
I'm
landing
just
fees and
saying,
all that kind of
this-
stuff, so.
But I'm saying, oh no, we just don't tax somebody who's not using it. That's what I'm saying, Dave. Yeah,
From
I'm sorry.
From tax money.
Tax money, okay.
But-
No, they are taxpayers, but they're people who are using the services.
I'm a little bit of a stickler on that because
No, that's
the
fine.
taxpayers are our bosses.
You bet, no, that's
So
fine.
I don't
Okay.
want that to be lost in confusion.
No, no, thank you. Aye.
Isaac?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Well done.
Airport construction security.
We are starting the filling in the security area on November 6th. Then getting a hold of Aaron tomorrow to kind of talk through some stuff and get the people badged and all that kind of stuff. So took a little longer than we thought in terms of material. I was only run a similar issue with some product in the city hall actually, where one portion is easy to get and the other portion completed isn't. So that's finally in, and so they'll be starting at November 6th and continuing working on this guy.
So how are we gonna,
What?
how are we gonna stair step or do
Well,
half?
they're
Or how are you gonna
they're
keep
basically
people
work
going
it-
through?
They're gonna work whatever hours we can in terms of, you know, at night, and it's not easy here because we have flights coming in late, and it opens up early, and so, they're gonna be kind of scaffolding an area, and they'll take a cloud down and then put one up, and then move it, a cloud, put one up. Like anything in construction, more likely that will speed up as they get, you know, the process going. So it'll probably start out kind of slow. Anticipating it's probably going to take, you know, could take up to 3 weeks. But they're going to take all their stuff down and set it aside in some place. We'll try to figure that out with Darren. But yeah, it's the only way we can do it. At one point they talked about, you know, leaving stuff up and people walking through it. I mean, that depends on how high it is and all kind of stuff. But after we talked about it, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a possibility, just because of the, you know, of course they originally thought, well, you can just shut one of your lines down. Yeah, And so that's when we, really what we did is we came up with it's kind of a cost plus, not to exceed. So if they can get it done quicker, and again, every day is different. So depending on when flights are coming in and start up, they'll be, so I think they're only going to get to work about 5-6 hours a night at the most, and then take it down. So the issue will be, the first one will take the longest, and then it'll speed up after that, I'm guessing.
Well, let's see here. First thing is we had our Part 139 airport safety inspection that was done by the FAA last week. Paul Williams from the Chicago office was here. Spent about 3 days, went through everything, and it was a perfect report. So no discrepancies that were found on the airfield and whatever. And it's a real credit to what Darren and Henry, Chief Bush, and Jordan do each day with paying attention to the detail in the Part 139 inspection, and it's incredible. I just came back from the Great Lakes chapter of AAE, our operations conference, and all of the inspectors were there from the FAA and everyone from the region and stuff, and it's surprising how different inspectors go through and find different discrepancies, but these guys pay attention to detail. Paul was extremely impressed with what Chief Bush has done over in the ARF station and wants to use that as a model for the region. But just what Darren and Henry and Jordan do, it's really good. So,
Sean, can I piggyback a comment on that, please? When I was able to attend a AAAE convention years ago, I took the track of the board member track, and that was the hottest topic amongst the board members from the AAAE people is how do we pass our 139s without any exceptions? So you don't realize how rare it is that an airport our size and our diverse has 0 exceptions on a 139 inspection. It is very, very rare. So yes, kudos to you and everyone, Sean.
and it's fuel farms. I mean, Darren Hall with Jet Center, so they look at all the fuel farms and everything else. They do a good job with their training with the fuelers. So anybody who's in the business of providing fuel to the public is involved in that inspection as well. So Jet Center does a great job with that and keeping up with training. 2 recommendations that did come out of it is we're going to be adding some stop signs, believe it or not, out on the airfield on some roads. It's been a point of emphasis from the FAA for some years now. All the airports in the region have to, where there's a road that comes out onto a runway or taxiway, you just have to install some stop signs. We do have some out there from previous recommendations. Now they want all of those done. I don't know what that's going to cost or what the final cost will be, but it's eligible. And the other part is in our project next year, we'll remove all of the markings on the primary runway. So all of the paint will come off, potentially rubber removal as well, and we'll put that into the project that we'll bid next year for the cargo aprons. So I think there's so many layers of paint out there. It's hard in this environment with snow removal and chemicals and everything to keep paint down, but we'll be doing that next year. So yeah, I mean, to be one of the few in the region to have a perfect inspection, and hopefully that continues. But it's a good crew. They do a good job, and you can be rest assured that they're paying attention to all the details out there. Jeff and I met with the regional folks, talked to everybody down in Chicago on Monday about our project for next year, which is the cargo apron expansion, per the request that UPS has. So we met with Andy Peak, who's the manager for the Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Dave Anderson, who's the new deputy manager for Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And we have until October 31st to apply for the supplemental money that's out there in this $1 billion that's additional. Bismarck was the first airport in the state to get part of that, about $9.7 million here a few weeks ago for their runway. So we're going to put our $10 million some dollar cargo apron in there, which is the cargo apron, the access road extension, fencing, apron lights, security system, connecting taxiway, and of course utilities. We'll put that in there and hope that we can position the project to be considered. We will have to provide an economic impact analysis of that. What's the economic impact? And that seems to be one of the criteria that sets projects apart from others in the country. The first round they allocated $205 million of that $1 billion, and the next round they're looking at $800 some million of that billion. So hopefully we can position ourselves there.
What's the deadline on that?
October 31st to apply. So it's pretty well done. Jeff's got some homework to do to put some things together, but it will be put together. We also had thought about including the runway centerline lighting and the approach upgrade, and this will be news for Chris as well, but Andy and Dave advised to put those into a separate project and analysis. To put in centerline lighting and to upgrade the approach is a very significant undertaking, so there's a lot of justification and guidelines and research that needs to be done before doing that. So we decided to put that on another track that could be simultaneous, but it's not going to be part of this project. Whenever we get the research done, we have to prove that, number one, we have the justification to justify centerline lighting and to upgrade the approach, which for the FA could be a 3, 4, 5 year planning program to take out all the instrument landing systems and replace them with something different. But they also had advised us to look at what can we do with the existing ILS if we put in centerline lighting. What approach does that get us to? Right now we're 200-foot ceiling and a half, 200.5, correct? That's where we're at right now.
Which is Cat 2.
Cat 1.
Cat 1. So what can we do with the existing equipment, maybe an upgrade to the glide slope to get us to a modified approach? And do you remember what they called it, Jeff?
It's a special authorization Cat 2 approach.
Yeah. Now, Sioux Falls has been after it for about 6 years to get theirs changed, and I don't think they still have approval. So there's a bunch of hurdles to jump through there. But nonetheless, with Chris's help and some others from the region, we'll look at trying to move that centerline lighting and approach upgrade forward as soon as we can. Now, having said that, they all, both Andy Peak and Dave Anderson said, well, look what you can do with the existing equipment to get down to approach that FedEx and UPS and Delta would, I guess, accept. Any improvement with the existing equipment obviously significantly less expensive than trying to upgrade the approach. So there's more work to be done on that, but that's what the message was, I guess, basically on that. So outside of that, we did receive the first reimbursement for Grant 48, which was the reimbursement of the cargo apron expansion that we did last summer, and then also for moving forward here on Dakota Drive with the rehabilitation that will take place next year, but the lighting upgrade as well. And I think the shop drawings came in for the lighting from Strata, so they're probably 30, 40 days away from moving forward with replacing all of the lights out here with LED technology. So
I've got, going back to the centerline lighting in Cat 2, I know the heavies for FedEx, UPS will probably meet or have the capability to use Cat 2, but how about the feeders? Do you know if the
Depends on
Metro, the Metroliners and caravans, they don't
all
have-
depends on what equipment's in the cockpit, and
Yeah.
it could vary
But
between.
that's what I'm wondering. Do
Yeah.
we know?
The Embraer 175s that American operates, and then SkyWest will be operating in here. Those can do Cat 2 approaches.
Okay.
So we need to take a comprehensive analysis or gather some information from all of the carriers, because I believe there may be even some FedEx jets that some models do, some don't. Some UPS jets do, some don't. But we'll see.
We've protected everything all the way to a Cat 3, right? I mean, if for some reason we get to that level, as far as easements all the way down to the ILS and the localizers and everything.
Yeah, our easement south here goes basically down to 12th Avenue North, and of course then we own all the property up to County 31.
Yeah.
So I think we're well set to
Don't worry about the
do
south.
that. And if we do upgrade the approach, of course centerline lighting would be beneficial from both directions, but the approach would only be for a 3/6 approach, so landing to the north, which is our primary wind coverage. So we have to do research with NOAA or the National Weather Service to find out how many days have we been below minimums, the 200.5. That data's out there somewhere. You probably follow it, Chris, in tech ops. So, but it's going to take a lot of time to get all that information together. So the final thing I have, and everyone here is invited. So on November 5th, UPS is going to have a ribbon cutting at 10:30 over at the hangar. Commissioner, you should be on that list. Who they're all going to invite, I'm not sure. I was just told to invite who we want and then get them a head count, because they're going to have a catered lunch at 11, I think, from Spitfire. So I know the governor's been invited, chamber ambassadors, and I'm not sure who else, but they're putting that together out of the Louisville office. They are working with Flint on the announcement and so forth. So November 5th at 10:30 over at the hangar by the East Terminal building.
I have another question on construction. The north side is going to get very busy here with both the Army Guard construction and then UPS. do you know what's the timelines? Are they gonna overlap? Is County 20 gonna be saturated?
No, the Army Guard will start spring of next year, so spring of 2019. UPS right now, if they get final approvals on the plan that they have, they're hoping for April of 2019, but more than likely it'll be June. A lot of people that we're working with would like to be in a new facility by fall of 2020 or in time for peak, so that would be like in November. That might be a little optimistic, it could be early 2021, so that's to be determined, but they wouldn't overlap. They wouldn't overlap the construction. I think the final thing is Jeff and I, along with Darren, met with Jeremy Gordon and Ron Solberg from engineering, along with their engineer Apex, to talk about North University Drive. So they've engaged us. I have some preliminary plans I could share with all of you. They're working through the environmental portions of that. So University Drive would be reconstructed from 32nd Avenue North to County Road 40. They're just in the stages right now of trying to figure out where to put the bike lane, the sidewalk. I think it's a 3-lane road from what I recall. Pretty much the same elevation, I believe, as what the current road is. Curb and gutter, all of that stuff. So I believe it's set for construction in 2020 if the funding comes through. Now, their engineer hadn't engaged the Bismarck FA office yet because all of the property that they're working adjacent to is in the runway protection zone. It's purchased with federal funds, so if there's easements or other things that are needed, all of those things will be determined and sorted out here over the next few months. So,
John, I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but did they go through the need for the replacement of the road? I've been on the road many times, and it's in very good repair.
I don't know what criteria they look to it. I believe it's a state aid road, so it's kind of a state project as far as I know. Shoulders, safety, I'm not quite sure. I know they want to protect the bike trail and so forth. They're talking about a roundabout at University in County 20 or 40th Avenue North, putting in a large roundabout. So anyway, Rick, you live up there, so you probably are attuned to some of that stuff.
Very also.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no shoulder on that road, and it's this very steep ditch.
Yeah.
And just the other day, somebody, when it snowed the other day, somebody broke down on the side of the road and took up, I mean, everybody was trying to get around it because there's no place for that disabled vehicle to go. So having even a shoulder or a sidewalk, there's a lot of foot traffic up there too. So, and people walk on the road. It's very dangerous.
So as those plans come together, we'll have the city come and present, or the state, whoever's going to be in charge of the project. I think the city of Fargo will design it once the environmental work is done, but I'm not certain that they understand what the FAA is going to require them to do to get concurrence to do it. But they'll find out here soon. So that's all that I've got.
I got one last question. Derek, how's the design coming on our water line?
Yep. Narrowing in on this part, we're working on the connection point right now. And getting the detail estimate done in here as well.
Quick question, when SP is given the contract, could you ask them when they're gonna go out or for bid with, for snow removal and trash collection, garbage collection? Or if they are going out for bid, maybe they have a contract that...
They use Brett's snow removal that they have for years and years.
Yep.
I don't know about their trash. I
Okay.
can find out though.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Very good. Meeting is adjourned.